welcome back
God,
to the final.
Is that Albert Einstein?
I decided to join you to tell you the physics of planes, which I invented. I invented wind.
He's on fire. We got a good one. What's everybody? Welcome to In
wind.
Review. Fuck you, Tim. We're hosting now. It's the asshole. Nick and Greg.
God, I said this to Nick a couple days ago, but I was ordering some food from Seamless, and the picture of the delivery guy was the fucking Einstein.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like hung out. I'm just like, Jesus.
Were you asking about Popeye spicy chicken?
It was.
Yeah, I knew it was. I knew you.
Yeah, chasing me down. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the final Christopher Nolan in review. For now, Tenet's going to come out eventually whenever it comes out, and we definitely will be reviewing it. I'm very, very, very excited for it. But until then, we're talking about Dunkirk. This show happens every Tuesday right here on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames, and every Friday as well. We're wrapping up Nolan. At the end of this episode, we're going to tease what's going to start happening on Tuesdays for the next bunch of weeks. But Friday, Studio Ghibli Miyazaki in review rolls on. We're continuing this week. We got Princess Mononoke coming up on Friday. Very excited for that one. I've never seen it. But you can watch the show live on Twitch. You can watch it later on youtube.com/kindoffunny or roosterteeth.com. If you want to listen to it, search your favorite podcast service for every movie reviewed and ranked, and we'll be there. And we really appreciate your support over there on the podcast services. Thank you very much. We've seen a huge uptick in you guys going on podcast services since last week. We started actually tweeting out links to promote the audio versions as well. So thank you very much for going over there, subscribing, leaving your good reviews. It helps us more than you'll ever know. To help us even more than that, though, you can go to patreon.com/kindoffunny to give us money, and then we'll give you cool things like shouting you out, Muhammad, for being our Patreon producer. And also, you get the show ad-free, so that's nice too. Today, we are talking about Dunkirk, released on July 21st, 2017. Once again, directed by Christopher Nolan. This is the third Christopher Nolan movie to be written entirely by him. The others were Following and Inception. Memento was based on a short story by his brother Jonathan Nolan. Dark Knight and The Prestige and Dark Knight Rises and Interstellar were all co-written by Jonathan Nolan, and Batman Begins was co-written by David S. Goyer, Greg's favorite person. Christopher Nolan's only uncredited written movie is Insomnia, which Nolan wrote the final shooting script for only. So that's kind of interesting.
Very interesting.
Didn't know that. Music, once again, done by Hans Zimmer. For the sound design of the movie, Christopher Nolan used a shepherd tone in which ascending notes are subtly cycled to give the impression of never-ending rise in pitch. Also, he wanted to write the script by obeying this principle so that the audience could braid together three storylines, and they continually rise in anxiety intensity. So as one storyline's peaking, the other one's still to be built, and the third is entering the last phase. He's always thinking fourth dimensionally. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean.
Dimension of time and love.
Hell yeah, man.
Gravity and love, isn't it? Gravity and love.
It's everything. It's everything.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, gravity's in it. It's time, though, right?
Gravity transcends the dimensions, is how I understood it.
Time and love, man.
If you toss a peach off Mount Everest, it's gonna pop up in the fucking ozone layer. You know what I mean?
Fucking ozone layer. A budget of $150 million, a box office of $527 million. A runtime of 1 hour and 46 minutes.
It's fast.
God.
It's brief.
At 1 hour and 46 minutes, this is Nolan's shortest movie since his debut. Following this is also over an hour shorter than Interstellar. It was made from a 76-page screenplay. In fact, Christopher Nolan originally intended to make an improvised movie. There's very little dialogue in this compared to most movies.
I mean, this movie to me, I was actually kind of dreading watching it again because I remember I saw it the first time in IMAX and it was stunning. But it's definitely a movie that's more of an experience than it is a plot-driven, character-driven narrative. And obviously, that's what he set out to do, right? He just kind of wanted to, similar to like Saving Private Ryan, he just wanted you to feel what it was like to be on that beach and not be able to escape. And I think he really nailed that. And I think that it's so fascinating too because the notable people in this movie that I recognize are Cillian Murphy's in it. Which is obviously coming back. Bane's in it, Tom Hardy's in it, and Kenneth Branagh's in it. But you don't really have a sense of, I guess Kenneth Branagh, you kind of get, you're like, okay, he's obviously leading the forces, but they all just sort of play these sort of amalgamations of who these people would have been. So Tom Hardy is the Air Force guy, the fighter pilot. You've got, I think, I don't even know the actor's name that plays the foot trooper that's trying to escape the entire time. Because I don't recognize him at all. But what's that?
Quiet Boy.
And then obviously Kenneth Branagh is like, hey, I represent sort of like the generals who are trying desperately to get or rather the admirals, I should say, because he's probably naval, to try to desperately get these people off this island. And it's just, to me, I was dreading it at first. And even last night I was like, oh man, should I rewatch it? Because maybe I could just get away without watching this one again. But I'm so glad I did. It's fast. It goes by very quickly, but the scenes, the way they're put together, are just so fascinating, and it's beautifully shot. And there's just moments, like the one that stands out to me is just that last moment where Tom Hardy is just flying high, and his engines are gone because he's out of fuel.
It's just
and
quiet.
Everyone's just looking up, and it's just quiet, and he just opens up his cockpit for a second, and then you think to yourself, just turn around and land on the beach behind the rest of the troops. Get out and get in line.
Or
Why
land,
the fuck would you land?
Or land
4 miles down the road?
Or
Parachute.
land in the water, like near the ships, and swim to a ship like your friend did, and open the thing.
Canopy.
There were
the water landing is dangerous.
Sure,
more dangerous,
but so is getting
obvious.
caught behind enemy lines.
Yeah, I just always look like he goes by once and then he comes back, and I'm like, can you not just
right there
kind of curve around and land right behind the guys? Now I understand, like, if you don't want to land in the water because you don't want to put a plane in the water for boats trying to get out, it might be dangerous.
You also don't want to crash on the beach
just
and kill everybody. Yeah, it's a Captain America kind of problem. It's a
true.
first Avenger kind of problem.
No,
you know what I mean? Plenty of ways you could have done this, but this is how you chose to do it. Now you're frozen in ice.
The beach,
Peggy's dead.
Huge, you know.
But I think it was obviously metaphorical, right? The idea of like the sacrifice he has to make, and that wonderful moment where he's like, he has to burn his own plane. He just waits for the enemy troops to come get him. I don't. That wasn't based on anyone in reality. I don't think that I know of. It's more just sort of like, this is thematically what these soldiers had to go through, and these Air Force and crewmen had to go through to get these men off this beach. And you do feel it, like that. I'll never forget how claustrophobic that scene is, where the guy's like, I'm staying outside. He's like, why is he out there? He's like, he wants a easy way to escape in case we get torpedoed. And guess what happens? He gets fucking torpedoed. And
dude,
the guys
when he saw that torpedo coming in, I was like, oh fuck! Like I literally was like, oh fuck!
Oh fuck! Like how scary is that thing? Slow moving torpedo that's just, you can't stop it. You're like, jump and wrestle it.
But also,
before we move on too much from this, something I want to say about the final shot there is, I was reading a bunch of interviews from Nolan about kind of making this movie and like the choices made, and it's interesting where he's just like, I really wanted this to not be a traditional war movie that has heroes. Like I didn't want there to be moments where it's just like glamorizing it and glorifying stuff. He's like, but at the end of it, it's like we needed a moment of something good. So it's like Tom Hardy had to have that sacrifice, and there had to be a moment at the end of this movie to at least give it a kind of turning point of moving to what we get for the final scenes of the boys kind of coming back. But what's cool about this is, so speaking about the narrative structure in Premiere Magazine, Christopher Nolan stated, for the soldiers who embarked in the conflict, the events took place on different temporalities. On land, some stayed 1 week stuck on the beach. On the water, the events lasted a maximum day. And if you're flying to Dunkirk, the British Spitfires would carry an hour of fuel. To mingle these different versions of history, one had to mix the temporal strata, hence the complicated structure. Even if the story is very simple, do not repeat it to the studio. It is going to be my most experimental film. And that's an interesting thing where it's like, obviously in the movie, they present that with the title cards, but you know, each of the three different places is over a different
1 day, 1 hour. Or hour one hour
together. Which is really cool, but like he combined that with trying to just make the movie less about, like I was saying, the hero stuff, and more just kind of about like that experience that Nick was talking about of like what it's like. And they said that they made a choice to never see the like German soldiers. Like you never actually see the bad guys, right? Like it's just them dealing with, there's gunshots coming at them, there's torpedoes, and there's all the stuff, but like you're always staying just with these characters experiencing this thing that they feel that it never feels like they can overcome, because you never actually see what's happening. Like it's pretty cool.
Impending doom the entire time. And I think they nail that for the most part. I do think that the way the narrative is structured can be a skosh confusing at times, specifically for the aerial combat, because there's moments where you're like, Tom Hardy's going after a bomber, and then he hits the bomber, and then we go back in time where he sees the bomber again, but then there's another bomber. So there's moments that it's just kind of confusing to me, and then you see what's happening in the water. And I understand why he did it, because I think he wanted you to stay with that one person the entire time and experience what they experienced. And I love how we see him and his co-pilot, and his co-pilot goes down, and then you see him wave his hand, and like, oh, he's okay. But then when we cut to him like 30 minutes later in the movie, he's not okay. He's trying to get help because he can't get out of the cockpit. But I do wonder if, I think it would have been interesting, and probably a lot easier for him just to cut these scenes together like you would normally traditionally edit these scenes. I think it would have added a little bit more to the tension, but I also think it would have shaved off about 20 minutes of the movie. So I don't know if that's necessarily something you want to do, but like it is a little confusing when they get to that little triangle of where the guys are rescuing people off the barge and then Tom Hardy's flying above them. And you're like, wait, we've just jumped back 20 minutes and now we're jumping forward 20 minutes. I don't know. It's kind of weird. And then the Cillian Murphy stuff was always weird because you see him really traumatized on the boat, which is a beautiful image where he's just literally sitting on like the bow or the stern of the boat. And or whatever the back of the boat's called. Sorry, I don't know the
The ass.
term.
They call it the ass of the boat.
The asshole of the boat.
No, that's not right. That's the propeller. That's the propeller.
He's sitting on the screws.
Wait,
You're
so
sitting
the
on the
propeller's
ass, you're
the
on the
asshole
cusp
of the
of the
boat?
asshole.
That probably is, yeah, 'cause
Isn't
it
the
propels
propeller
them
the
outside
feet
boat.
of the boat, right? Because you imagine that they're the ones kicking.
No, you're thinking of it in the wrong direction,
Isn't
right? Just
the
think about how
asshole
a
the big
propeller
tube?
spins and the bubbles that come out when you fart in the pool. What happens?
Sure.
Bubbles come
It
out.
moves
We're
me
done,
forward.
everybody.
Okay, all
Blood
right.
Exactly.
big
You
bubbles.
yeah, if you were farting in zero G back in Interstellar,
Sure.
Murph, you'd be all floating around. You know?
So they find him on the propeller or whatever, the ass end of this boat, and he's traumatized, right? He's shell shocked, and they talk about that. But then the next time we see him, he's totally with it. And it's a flashback. He's totally with it on the boat, and he's like, "Dude, guys, it's gonna be okay. Don't worry about it. We're gonna get to." So I'm like, "How did he get?" You have to assume he was on one of the other boats that went down, of course, but we never get to see his trauma. We just see him shell shocked, and it's interesting. I don't know why he would have chosen to do that because I would have liked to have been. I think I would have been more in touch with that character if I had seen what he goes through, like start shell shocked and then show me where he used to be, and then show me what made him shell shocked. But we don't really get to see that. And then the only other real criticism.
Wait, hold on. If I can chime in real quick, sorry, because for the record, like this is my first time ever seeing Dunkirk. Didn't see it in the movie theaters, so I knew nothing coming into it other than obviously it's Dunkirk and it's a beach and they're all stuck. I didn't realize they would be playing with time the way they were, so I was a complete moron at the point where they're jumping back and forth, and I didn't even put it together at first that some of them were in daytime, some of them were in nighttime, because some of it's happening like inside of ships, so it was like already kind of dark, and I wasn't. But when I saw. Yeah, Scarecrow all fucked up and, shell shocked. And then I saw him in his, dress blues or whatever out there. And it was like, oh, fuck, I'm a moron. I totally missed the fact we were hopping around. But isn't he on the boat that the other guy, Quiet Boy and French Boy, come to and then get into, and then that gets torpedoed, and then that's the boat that goes down, and then Scarecrow's sitting on the ass of that boat when they pull up in the other boat to get Scarecrow?
So that's what I thought originally, but no, we see him after those guys escape from the boat. They're trying to get on some of the lifeboats, and Cillian Murphy's like on that boat. He's one of the lieutenants, and he's like, guys, don't worry. He says, we'll go to the shore, we'll drop these guys off, and we'll come back. The temperature of the water's fine. There's no big current.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That does
end up dragging in.
You're right.
So I don't know what happened to him necessarily. That I mean, that's one of the minor questions I have. The only real other
like that's actually a pretty big question where it's like, how is it that he was on like the rescue missions and he either went back out for a rescue and then somehow got
presumably because Tim was right, they were there for a week. Presumably that happened maybe on night 1 or 2. He got back on another boat and then that sank again, and he's just super traumatized because
or it's just he's been on he's been on the beach getting they're picking at him. Yeah, they're dropping bombs on him.
I don't think we necessarily need to answer for it. It was just one of the questions I had, and it's obviously like you don't necessarily need answers for all these things.
I'm with you though.
It's about the experience.
I'm with you on that one, Nick. Of like, I think that would have helped if it would have been like if they were, and not that they needed to be this on the nose about it, but if we knew that we were seeing him on day 1 versus then when they find him at day 14, 7. Yeah, it's about a week, right?
But I think it's purposely supposed to be designed to do that because you're supposed to be like, we've lost all concept of time and where we're at because we're stuck on we're stuck in this moment, this like temporal, exactly. Exactly. But the only other thing I thought upon the second time that I was like, I wonder if I'll still have this concept was that I just hate all the shit on the boat with the dad and the kids and the kid blind and Charlie. I'm like, I did not need
George. I was same. The conclusions of it's cool. I just feel like the second kid that ends up going blind and then dies, like what was it, George, I think it was his name. George. Whatever. We have to go to Dunkirk. Where he was like, oh, I just want to be in the newspaper. I want to be in the paper. And it's like, well, okay, cool. Probably not like this,
I mean, and it's interesting because the movie is very much structured to sort of have these groups of people that are representative, right? And that group was the tugboat or the skiff, whatever they called it, was just that was supposed to represent the civilians that mobilized and went and were really heroic to put themselves in this incredible danger with these small boats to help save people. And I think that comes across, but it also serves as this is the character that's kind of like telling everyone what's going on. Him and Kenneth Branagh are the two characters who are like, here's what's happening, audience, on the beach. Here's what's happening on the shore. Let's talk about, and they're kind of narrating it. But we dip a little bit into the melodramatic with this kid a couple times. And we dip a little bit into the melodramatic with Kenneth Branagh a couple times where we're like, I don't really need, he has very dramatic line where he's like, he looks out and he's got a tear in his eye. And the guy's like, what's that? Like he wouldn't fucking know that there was like these ships, all these civilian ships coming toward him. And Kenneth Branagh just goes, home. And you're like, oh, that's great. We're gonna win the war, everyone.
I'm with
Look
you
at
on
us.
that.
Look at us. We're gonna win the war. And then
it definitely felt like you mess with Spider-Man, you mess with all of us.
Yeah.
It's like,
and you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us.
There's the moment at the end too where the two guys are on the train and he's like, I'm just so ashamed of us. And the guy's like, hey, fucker, here's 2 beers. We love you.
I like that
moment.
Oh,
great, we're awesome.
I felt like that moment was like, you know what? Fucking all right, man. The world doesn't hate them, or the UK doesn't hate them for failing.
It just felt a little designed, and I think the rest of the movie feels like you're actually in that and it's real. And then there's just these couple moments here and there where you're like, oh, we're watching a movie and these actors are acting, and I just didn't like that. I specifically love everything that the first guy we see who's just trying to take a shit for 20 minutes and no one will let him take a shit. That poor guy. I mean, he's gonna be constipated forever because once it goes back up in there, Kevin, it's hard to get.
Whoa, I know.
It's difficult. It's difficult, especially when there's cold water included.
I was gonna say that one moment that like really confused the hell out of me is when they get into when the 2 kids that we're following, one being the French kid and the other the British kid,
we're calling them Quiet
and Frenchie. Thank you. When Quiet and Frenchie that's the same kid. Quiet and Frenchie?
No. Well, they're both quiet, but Frenchie's the one that doesn't speak in English.
I thought Frenchie was quiet because he was
They are
French.
both quiet. They're both very quiet. They both have no lines of dialogue in this. So at the end, you don't know their fucking names, and it's okay, cool.
I have a problem distinguishing faces, and like I felt like
that's the thing too. I you know what? I'll stop you right there and take one. All right, I can't tell any of these fuckers apart.
They all look the same. Yeah.
Like, that was the thing. At the end, they get covered in oil. I literally was like, oh fucking jeez. Like I don't even. Y'all have the same haircut and the general build. I don't know what the fuck's happening.
But when they get into that like little blue ship with like 20 other soldiers.
Yeah,
and they're just kind of taking a nap, and then they start getting shot at. What they take? I mean, like right there's
you're doing a good job recap. I love it. It's a great recap.
But I did not realize that. Like I guess the tide came in and took the boat out. Because like they were.
Well, they didn't realize that either for a second.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's when they start brawling. They rock the boat enough, and they're like, "Wait, we're floating. We're floating."
But it's weird because they get out to sea very fast.
Yeah.
And that was one of the other things that I'm like, okay, wait, we went from this boat is clearly sinking and should be probably sinking 20 feet offshore. And then they cut and they're in the fucking middle of the Adriatic. They're just there. It's them, a destroyer, and 5 other ships. And you're like, how the hell did they get all the way out there that so quickly? I don't understand how water works, Kevin. I just invented the air. And then not the Adriatic. What body of water is
right?
between?
The channel?
Is it the channel?
Yeah.
The English channel?
Yeah, the English
channel
channel
is the tunnel they built.
That's the yeah.
So at the 90th Academy Awards, it received 8 nominations, including Best Picture and Best Director, which was Nolan's first Oscar nomination for directing. Wow. Went on to win for Best Sound Editing, Best Sound Mixing, and Best Film Editing. So Nolan still doesn't have the big ones yet.
I mean, definitely doesn't deserve it for this one.
Here's my thing with this movie is like it's cool. I don't really vibe with war movies that much, and
you gotta watch the right ones, Tim.
It's more of that, and I'm happy it was an hour 46 minutes. I enjoy the experience. Visually, it is gorgeous. I love how many of the scenes were IMAX, and I would say 90% of the movie is full frame, and it is so gorgeous. The sound design is terrifying throughout this entire movie, both the score and all of the gun sound effects, the torpedoes, the use of drowning, and like just the sound of like from nothing to it's so good. So that was for you, Kev.
That sounded gross.
But I gotta say, like, for this, it reminds me a lot of Crystal Dynamics Avengers game, where it's just like, look, this is not what I want from this team. Like, this is not what I want from a Christopher Nolan movie. So going into it, I'm already kind of like, I'm excited for a Christopher Nolan movie. I'm excited for there to be some crazy ass shit going on. It's like, oh, he's making a war movie. It's like, oh man, I'm not really interested in that. Is there going to be some crazy twist? No, but they're going to play with time a little bit. I'm like, all right, cool. So it's like at least it's a little bit neat. But for me, I'm like, this is proof that Nolan can do no wrong, because I left this movie being like, I did enjoy that. So he didn't even make me enjoy this, but it's like, it is on such a different level than any of the other ones for me.
I think, I mean, like, this is obviously personal preference, and I'm not gonna sit here. I'm not saying this is very much like when we're reviewing, or when I'm reviewing a video game, because I don't ever review movies. I just yell about them and go away. But like, I get why, like, this is a beautifully made film. Like, obviously, I understand it's artistic and the sound, and like, that was the thing of like not even paying attention to like, oh, this is Hans Zimmer, right? Like, it's just the way it was swelling and going and amplifying the action, all that jazz. But at the end of it, I was just like, oh man, by far my least favorite one of his things. Like, it's again a personal preference of when I saw the trailers for Dunkirk. You know, it was, oh man, a new Christopher Nolan movie. It's like awesome, and then you watch it, and I'm like, oh, is this just a war movie? Like, I'm not going to see it unless somebody says I have to see it. And so I never ever saw it until we had to see it.
I was exactly with you.
I hope this turns around I hope my first blush impression of the trailer was incorrect, and I watched it and I was like, nope, it was spot on. And it's like the problem I had, and you know, Jen and I were talking about it after the fact. Is in, you know, because she kept saying, oh, man, she was like, this is just war porn. Like, my problem was that the conflict itself was the main character, and that was impossible for me to get behind or care that much about. I wanted to know more. I want to know the characters and what they're going through and their backstories and their struggles, and everybody's life were pitched into orbiting this battle and never having to deal with it else, right? Like, I feel like Georgie, or whatever the hell his name is, the kid who goes blind and dies, he's the one I get the most from, of just like, oh, he wanted to be in the fucking paper. He wasn't good in school. His parents, you know, his teachers didn't expect much of him. At least I got something there from him. Everybody else, like, don't get me wrong, great in the moment performances of being terrified. Like, the amount of times I think we were sitting here watching this movie and I turned to Jen, I was like, oh my God, can you fucking imagine? Can you imagine, like, when they're, you know, the boat is capsizing and they're sinking, and after they get hit by this tornado or torpedo. So on top of everything, there's a tornado at Dunkirk Beach. And then, like, yeah, he can't get out of his canopy and like trying to beat it with the flare gun. And then, yeah, just even being Bane there at the end, you shoot everybody down and you're just like, all right, cool, I'm fucked now. Like, I get all that and I understand those, but like, those moments are just moments that I have no connection to. Yeah. So like, when it was over, I was very much like, never going to think about this movie again.
Yeah, but that's by design. And that's the thing. And like, I think if Nolan heard you say that, he'd probably punch you right in the fucking face. No, if he heard you say that, he'd probably like, that was the point of the movie, was to not necessarily, like Tim was mentioning, like, not have one character be the hero character. It was just about experiencing what the horror and like the traumatizing effects that would have had on people, just having to sit on that beach and wait for either a glimmer of hope of salvation or this massive German army coming right behind you to kill you like any day now.
Why didn't they wait at the house?
Psychological warfare of like the planes coming in. He was like, why don't they just send the fucking tanks in? The guy's like, why use tanks? They can just send 3 planes every hour and terrorize us and just pick us off one by one.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because it's like they obviously were going for a thing of these are all faceless armies. Like, these are all just dudes. You're not supposed to know them personally. Like, they're interchangeable and blah blah blah. Like, which one's Quiet Guy? We don't know. Which one's this? We don't know, because they do look so similar. But it's like they nailed it. That's the point. But I don't enjoy that.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
That's the thing. Is like, they definitely he nailed what he was going for. It's just like, personally, not for me.
I don't think this was a movie that he made for people to be like, that was the most enjoyable 2 hours of my life. I think he really wanted you to feel it, get in, experience it, and then have it like move you and be thought provoking.
I hear you, and I understand.
This is not meant to be watched over and over again, like you know, Interstellar, where you're like,
Porco Rosso.
That's a classic
feel like
right there.
I understand all that and I get it, but I feel like that's got its own place, and that's at the museum when I go there and get that kind of thing. It's not when I'm watching a movie and we're trying to, you know, rate and review every one of his movies. I don't think it stands on its legs that way in terms of a narrative structure. I get again what he's going for. I'm right there with Tim, right? 100%. I get this. I understand it. If you're into wars and battles and stuff, like, I get why you're into it too. I mean, you're talking to somebody who like also like saw Saving Private Ryan and just forgot all about it. I remember Matt Damon's old at the end, right? Like, it's just, I don't connect with that kind of thing. Could never get into Band of Brothers, yada yada. The list goes on. Like, so for this just to be that straight thing, I'm like, I get it. That's cool. That's not what. Back to Tim. It's Crystal Dynamics and Avengers. It's not what I want from you. Like, if I was putting down on paper what I'd want from him, it wouldn't be this.
I do think it's worth noting too that at some point in the theaters, I was like, they did a pretty good job casting these characters to kind of look alike, and I don't really know any of them, and I'm just really immersed in this. And then Harry Styles pops on screen, and I'm like, is that the fucking guy from One Direction? And he's got great hair. And if Andy were here, we'd talk about his hair for 15 minutes. But since Andy died, who knows? You know, we're never going to talk about it again. But did you guys notice that was the guy from one of the kids from One Direction?
Well, two things. First off, we haven't addressed why Andy's not here. Andy's not here because the movie was too scary for him, and he doesn't like scary movies. Number two, I have never seen Harry Styles. I don't know what he looks like.
Okay.
Which one was he in the movie? Quiet, Frenchie? The old captain?
The mean one. The one that was mean to Quiet and Frenchie.
He was like, we're a group here. I don't give a shit. Like we're getting home no matter what. So he was the one that was like prodding the guy to get outside.
You're a German spy, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's just one of the guys in one of the troops. But I just thought that was so uniquely interesting.
Is he the guy who looks like the guy from the Netflix I Drew Dicks on the Wall show? Because for a second I was like, is that the Netflix Dick on the Wall guy? And then
just Google Harry Styles Dunkirk. It like comes up. He's covered in oil.
He's the guy.
Thanks. That'll make it very easy to tell which one he is, Kevin.
He's the guy at the end on the train who's like, "Oh, we failed.
Oh, yeah, the guy from fucking Dicks Out, Netflix. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, he does actually kind of look a little like Jimmy,
not
Jimmy
the one that
Tatterall
everybody talks about, the other kid, right?
Wait, who? What character?
Jimmy, whatever. The one who gets expelled for drawing dicks on the wall.
Yeah, Jimmy Tatterall.
Yeah, sure.
He kind of looks like Jimmy Tatterall a little bit.
Really?
I'm saying I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I did not finish the film thinking it was Dick's guy. I'm saying that he looked. I'm saying first glance. Hold on. Well, that's just the chat, right?
I have face
first glance.
blindness.
I see this fucking guy, and I'm like, that kind of looks like Netflix Dick guy.
I mean, he kind of does.
Okay, you know what? In that picture, he does kind of look.
Thank you very much. That's all.
I will totally.
I'm not coming in telling you he's fucking his clone or anything. I'm just saying Dick's guy kind of looks like this guy.
I don't know.
Harry Styles,
I'm really uncomfortable.
Harry Styles not distracting at all. If I didn't know it was Harry Styles, I thought he totally nailed his role, and I think he blended in with the rest of them.
I do think he was a good actor. I do think I agree with you 100%. It's just for some reason, part of me was like, is that the watermelon sugar guy?
Oh, he sings that song?
Yeah.
I don't know that song.
Great. I'm joking because that song came out after Dunkirk, but still, it's one of those things where I'm like, I saw him and I was like, interesting choice. That was to put a pop star in your movie with faceless, no name people. I don't know why you would do that.
But he did a good job acting. Also, the kid that went blind and is dying is going to be in the Eternals. So maybe we'll
I thought at first I was like, is that Ty Sheridan from the classic movie X-Men Apocalypse? But
it does look like that kid.
He looks like
you're right.
Yeah.
But no, that stuff, and you know, and I hate to say it, I don't know why, but I just for some reason I don't like that older actor. That guy, he's like always in stuff as. He was in Ready Player One as the guy that made the whole computer simulation thing. Yeah. He was in Bridge of Spies. But he's just been popped up in a bunch of stuff. And for some reason, I'm like, this guy always takes me out of every narrative that he's in. I think he's a good actor, but I think he's more of a character actor.
Wait, when you're trying to do something
like, he was the guy that's the pilot who's like, Charlie, we have to go to Dunkirk. Remember, Cillian Murphy's like, turn the fucking ship around. He's like, we have to go, son.
He's like the younger, sexier version of Simon Pegg.
No, the dad. Wait, the dad, right? Of the
other pilot.
No, not the other pilot. The dad. The fucking guy was like,
you meant pilot. You said pilot. You meant captain.
Yeah.
Sorry, I meant he piloted a boat too.
Yeah, he's a captain actually.
Do you really?
A pilot is pissed. You pilot a boat. If you don't start using the right terminology,
you pilot a boat, but you don't call it a pilot, right? It's
no,
captain,
you would call him
right?
a captain. Sorry, I apologize.
But Greg, you are so fucking right. Pilot number 2. Tom Hardy's friend, 100% is sexy Simon Pegg.
Before he took off the mask, I was like, "That's Simon Pegg." When his movie company popped off, I'm like, "No, but you sound like Simon Pegg, and you just look sexier." And Mr. Pegg, if you're watching, I think you're sexy as well. I'm just saying he is sexier than you, and I think you can agree on that.
No, the actor I'm talking about is Mark Rylance, and he's a guy that's he's a character actor. He's popped up and stuff here and there, but he's the dad.
Yeah, no, when he popped up too, I'm the same thing of like, I know this guy. Where's this fucker from?
Yeah. He was in BFG, Bridge of Spies, Dunkirk, and I think he was in Ready Player One as well. I just, for some reason, I'm like, every time I see that guy, I just think this guy's a character actor that should be in a Spielberg, like, silly movie, and putting him in here just kind of ruins the narrative for me. Kind of the same with Kenneth Branagh, where Kenneth Branagh is so Kenneth Branagh, you're like, okay, we're that's Hamlet right there.
I was impressed by both Kenneth Branagh and Mark, because I think Mark, I didn't expect him to get as real and serious, and he has that moment where he's like, why are you doing this? And he's like, my fucking kid. Or like, you know, they dodged the torpedoes, or not torpedoes, the missiles.
Bullets,
yeah. Oh, it's bullets, yeah, okay. And then Kenneth Branagh, when like he sees them coming, and I know it's a cheesy moment, but like his expression of like, you can fucking see the relief in his eyes, and then when he chooses to stay to help the French, like that's, I don't know, I felt like the acting in that moment that they both the actors had were real strong.
Kenneth Branagh is a name I've heard about 14 times in my entire life, up until today, and now I've heard it 28 times in this one podcast. But I'm excited that I finally know whose name or face connects to this. But I just haven't seen him in anything.
You remember the little kid from, what was it, the Love Actually?
Yeah.
Kenneth Branagh looks like what he would have grown up to be.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
First off, the kid's not dead, right? Wasn't he just in Game of
He's
Thrones?
still alive. He's probably still alive. But you know what I'm saying? Like, he looks like that little kid looks like he grew up to be Kenneth Branagh.
No, Kenneth Branagh has been around for decades as an actor. I remember seeing
him through a bunch of movies I missed for the most part.
He did Hamlet. He also randomly directed Thor 1, which is weird as shit. And they were like, let's get Kenneth Branagh to direct this. They were like, let's not get Kenneth Branagh back.
I think he did a great job.
I think they wanted him because he's so Shakespearean. He's done so many different plays, and he did one of a very good version of Hamlet, in my opinion, in movie form. So they were like, we want a more Shakespearean feel to Thor. And then when we got there, they're like, this is just the wrong feel. We need Taika. We need Taika.
We need Taika. Some fun facts here.
He was loveless in Wild Wild West.
Yes, that's
if Andy hadn't made me turn that off during PSX, maybe I would have known.
Would have known.
Oh, have you never seen Loveless? I mean, Wild Wild West.
No, it got really bad reviews. So I watched the music video a lot, and I was like, "This doesn't even look good."
It's a fun movie.
Oh, you're just not good. So wrong.
I didn't say good. I didn't say good. Just to be clear.
Nolan showed key members of the crew 11 films that inspired him for this movie, and I thought this list was very interesting because it's all over the place.
It's a lot of movies.
Yeah.
Like, hey, watch these 11 movies.
All Quiet on the Western Front from 1930. Mm-hmm. The Wages of Fear from 1953. Nick, have you seen either of those?
What was the first one? Sorry.
All Quiet on the Western Front.
No, never seen either of those.
I was supposed to read that book in high school.
Did not like it.
I think I watched that. Tim, did I watch that in your film class with you?
No, not that one. Okay. That was a Birth of a Nation that you watched. Anyways,
I don't think it was.
Wages of Fear. It was. Alien, 1979. Which you can kind of see it, the claustrophobic nature of it. Sure. Speed in 1994.
And of course, if you're making any movie, a great touchstone for anything you're trying to make is
just watch
the
Speed.
Seminal film Speed. Guys, we're making a drama about a couple that's breaking up. You know what I think we should watch, guys? Speed. Because the dynamic between him and the guy from Arachnophobia is so heartbreaking. It's really good. Jeff Daniels. I couldn't remember his name for a second.
God, I had no idea where that was going. I lost that part for you. Sorry. I lost that part for you.
Unstoppable.
Why'd you grab Jeff Daniels?
Because that was the relationship they had where it's like shoot the hostage. Remember? Yeah. He was like, you fucking shot me, man. He's like, I had to shoot the hostage. And to this day, I'm like, I don't understand what shooting the hostage accomplishes.
It scares the bad guy.
What? It's terrifying. The bad guy's like,
oh my God, he's going to shit about this person. What am I going to do? That's how you stop the Grappler cold.
Yeah, exactly.
Grappler's trying to grab a kid off the streets. You shoot the kid?
You shoot another kid.
Sorry,
I'll shoot this fucking kid. I'll shoot that kid.
I'll be back
at every fucking kid. I'll shoot every fucking kid on the street. Stogie.
God damn, I hate
goes the toddler.
Unstoppable in 2010. Greed in 1924. Sunrise in 1927. Ryan's Daughter from 1970. The Battle of Algiers in 1966, Chariots of Fire from 81, and Foreign Correspondent in 1940. The interesting about this, only 2 of those are war movies.
I'll tell you what, if you're like to Nick, we're working on this awesome YouTube video where I want you to watch all these movies. I'm like, this is gonna be a fucking boring YouTube video. These movies. I'd be like, I don't know what the hell Tim's doing, but with the exception of Speed, I don't want to watch any of those movies. I don't want to watch any of these fucking movies.
Oh my fucking God.
And you would be right. You would be right.
Some more facts for you here. In the sequence where the Spitfire ditches into the English Channel, an IMAX camera was strapped into the cockpit to film Collins trying to get out. However, during filming, the plane with the camera still inside sank quicker than predicted. It took so long to retrieve the plane that the IMAX camera housing filled with water, potentially ruining the expensive camera and film inside. Nolan used an old movie technique of keeping the film wet and shipped it back to Los Angeles, getting it processed before it dried out. That take is the scene they used in the movie.
Wow. That's really
That's fucking cool. And then the end credits state that 12 of the original little ships that participated in the Dunkirk evacuation appear in the movie, reenacting their presence in 1940.
Oh,
that's cool as fuck.
That's real cool.
The movie was shot on the actual beach at Dunkirk where the evacuation took place. When scouting for the movie, Christopher Nolan found a button from an English soldier's uniform in the sand.
That's crazy.
Scary.
Yeah.
I'll say some of my favorite stuff in this movie And the things that I think is just so cool is the aerial photography, and I love the casual, calm back and forth between Tom Hardy and the other pilot. Whereas the pilot's going down, he's like bail out, and he goes, no, I'm too low or whatever. He's like, the sea looks calm enough. I'm gonna try to ditch in the sea. And as he's getting low, Tom Hardy just says, best of luck. Best of luck to you. Where it's not like, so cool. I hope you're okay, but it's just like, I got to keep going. And it's just so low key badass. There's a moment where he's like, when they first, I mean, I'll never forget. There's a moment where when they first encounter the first bunch of German fighters, and the first guy's like, he's on me, and Tom Hardy goes, I'm on him. Fucking I'm on him. He's on you. I'm on him.
Such a cool line delivery. But there's also the moment where they're like, where is the fourth leader 1 or whatever his name was? And they're like, oh, he's just gone.
He's gone.
He looks around like, I'm gonna do a circle. No, he died.
He's died.
Dead.
When Sexy Simon Pegg like crashes into the water, he's still, when it cuts to him, he's so calm. Like the ship or the plane is like kind of like about to drown him, and he's just like super chill, super calm. He's like, and I'm like, damn, this is fucking cool. Like, you got this. But then he starts banging it and it doesn't open. He's just like, oh fuck. And then he starts panicking.
Why does he close
like, it's moments like that this movie, I think, really achieves what it's trying to, which is like making you feel empathy for the character and like that sense of fear and tension and stuff that like at a moment's notice can flip. Like every time this movie makes the characters feel safe for a second, something happens to like fuck it all up in a way that feels earned, I think, and really kind of puts you in their place. But like there's the scenes of every time a ship is capsizing, the way that they shoot it, where it's often at like an angle and the water like divides the frame in like a diagonal. And just the idea, like trying to understand where the people are in relation to the ship that's falling that might crush them or drown them or whatever. It's like there's just so many unique cinematic approaches that they used in this that I was constantly wowed, that even if I was bored to fucking tears by this movie from the plot of it, I was like super engaged the entire time. And I think that is a testament to, you know, sometimes these experiential movies kind of like can keep you engaged even when it's subject matter you don't care about and there's not really characters that you can root for.
Yeah, I mean, for me, seeing this on my TV was far and away like the worst experience to watch it. You have like watching this in IMAX was unbelievable, and it's largely because of all the cinematography in this. And it's interesting because I think on this one in Interstellar, he changed cinematographers. He wasn't working with Wally Feister anymore. He was working with Hoyt van Hoytema, who is a really, really good cinematographer. And I don't know why they stopped working together. I assume maybe it was scheduling, but I know Wally wanted to be a director at some point and did Transcendence, and that movie did not do well. So maybe he was just like, I don't want to work anymore. But
he's doing Tenet. I'll look it up.
I think it's probably Hoyt. I think he tends to work with the same guy, but I just think like the aerial stuff, those moments were so cool, and you walk out of that IMAX and you're like, wow, you really do feel like you're on there. But again, in perfect Nolan fashion, I don't think he directed this movie to be watched on an iPhone. I think he really wanted everyone to go like sit, because by the way, when you're in the theater and you can't pause the movie and you can't really get away from it and you can't look at your phone, it's so much more tense than when I watched it last night and I paused to go like get a cup of water or whatever and bring it back and relax and like answer something on my phone. So like I think those movies, it's unfortunate that you guys didn't see these in the theaters because you did yourself a disservice. But
I did, baby.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Well, no, here.
Oh, you saw it in your theater? Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
and it was awesome. Fucking.
Wait,
awesome.
you didn't watch the actual theaters too? I thought you had seen this one.
I've never seen.
Got to go back to Dunkirk.
I would not want to watch this again.
I want to give a shout out to the fact that like warfare was so much different back then. I'm just looking at pictures of Jack Lowden, who is the sexy Simon Pegg, after he got out of the plane, and he's in like a full suit.
Yeah, when the guys.
Yeah, when they get in, they would put like the suit and tie on, and then put the stuff over it with all the. And I'm just like, they were gentlemen back then.
Royal Air Force, man. And I love that part when he's walking off the dock or whatever, and the guy's like, "Where were you?" It's like, and then
like, fuck you. I would have been like, "Fuck you, dude." I got shot down, almost drowned, and I'm probably gonna have to get back in a plane and go back out there again.
Yeah.
So FYI, motherfucker.
The time warrior in the chat says, anyone else catch Michael Caine's voice cameo near the beginning of the film?
Michael Caine.
I totally did, and I was like, "Is that Michael Caine?" And Andy and Gio are just like they thought I was like just joking, and I was like, "Damn, am I like super racist with this accent shit? Like, am I just like assuming it's Michael Caine?" And we looked into it; it was totally fucking Michael Caine.
Where's his voice?
The guy that was talking to Tom Hardy when we first see Tom Hardy in the plane, and he's like talking to someone on the The radio.
Yeah,
it's Michael Caine.
Wow, that's cool. I love how Christopher Nolan can just text Michael Caine and be like, "Hey man, we're doing this live show. Can we just get you to do the countdown like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 4?"
He's like he's their Dave Fennoy.
He's their Dave Fennoy. I love that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like obviously like Nolan going back to Tenet is going to be a kind of return to form where he's doing a little bit more sci-fi and having some fun and it being a little bit more up his alley. But this one I think was just a deeply personal film for him. Similar to how I think I forget who did 1917. But that I don't know if you guys ever saw that, but it was a similar film. It was another war film, obviously about World War I, not World War II. And it was fucking crazy and really, really intense.
1917 one of the best war films.
Deakins shot Tenet or Deakins?
No, Roger Deakins directed 1917.
No, he would have shot 1917. He's a cinematographer. I think who directed it
was someone else. It was
shit, I fucked up. Totally typed cinematographer.
I want to say who directed it was.
Sam Mendes.
Sam Mendes.
Yeah,
Sam Mendes. That's right.
And like
obviously Sam Mendes,
great grandfather was involved.
Yeah. So you see those movies and you can obviously tell these are like deeply personal films for these guys. But Tenet I assume will be significantly more zany and obviously plays with time because we can see that in the trailers how shit's running backward. So it's gonna be really fun.
It's a palindrome.
Everything's a palindrome. It's like
everything. Palindrome. I don't have any fun segue for it, but ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you that this episode is brought to you by Manscaped. 2020 has been the year of things happening that are completely out of your control, but there's one thing you can control, and that's shaving your bush.
Yeah, you can.
They wrote that. Our sponsors at Manscaped are here to remind you to do so. The Manscaped Lawnmower 3.0 is a premium electric trimmer that's designed to give you a confidence boost through body image. There's ceramic blade and skin-safe technology are designed to reduce nicks or tags on your fellas down below. The Lawnmower 3.0 is also waterproof. It comes with an LED light, so you can manscape in the shower, in the dark, or in a dark shower, whatever floats your boat. God bless these guys. You know what I mean? They're doing great work here. On the website, you also find the Crop Preserver, an anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer. Andy loves it. He swears by the Crop Preserver. I manscaped recently using Manscaped, using this Lawnmower 3.0, and I'm feeling pretty good. How
many nicks did you get?
No nicks.
You got one neck right here, buddy. I'll always be by your side. I'll help you too. I don't care if it's dark at all. We'll feel around.
You can go to manscaped.com and check out some of the life-changing products. In fact, you guys can get 20% off plus free shipping with the code MORNING at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use code MORNING. It's time to grab 2020 by the horns and shaving that front trunk. Manscaped.com. Use the code MORNING. Next up, shout out to ExpressVPN. Have you ever watched The Office? I have recently. If you have, you probably know it's based on a UK series also called The Office. But what if I told you there are 9 other countries with their own versions of The Office that you've never seen? Well, you probably didn't know about them because you're usually not able to get them in your country. But now you can access them with no geo restrictions when you use ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN lets you control where you want sites to think you're located. You can choose from nearly 100 different countries, giving you access to content that isn't available in your region. If you like watching shows or movies, ExpressVPN is a must-have. It's a great option to expand the libraries of the content that you can watch in a time that most people are watching more content than ever. Couldn't be easier to use. You just fire up the ExpressVPN app on your computer or TV, select a location, you hit connect, boom. Yeah, done. To get the most out of your streaming services today at ExpressVPN, or go to expressvpn.com/kindafunny. If you use this link, you'll get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN for free. Again, that's expressvpn.com/kindafunny. expressvpn.com/kindafunny to learn more.
Hello.
Are we in reviewing still?
We are in reviewing.
Oh, okay.
Is the review in us?
It is.
It's tough because there's not obviously like going through the plot of this. This is not necessarily makes sense, but the movie, just the way it starts, is so weird. And I realized that when I watched this the first time, I was like, oh, I think I missed the first 3 minutes of this movie because I thought we like saw these guys, but it doesn't. It just starts and they're like, oh, they're dropping stuff on us, and then the guy's like, and then there's that intense scene where he's getting to the line. And then just gets to the beach and there's all that foam. And you're like, where's this foam coming from?
Foam's so gross. It's that gross foam too. I hate that the ocean can be awesome in Florida. And then it can be Garbo and Dunkirk. You know what I mean? Fucking get it together, ocean. Nobody wants gray ass foam.
No one in France has ever surfed because of that right there, because of that weird sea foam. Gets you, changes the color of your skin.
Right. In the Adriatic.
No, I said Adriatic. I don't know why I said Adriatic. What were we talking about? Oh, you know why? Because it was Porco Rosso was in the Adriatic. That's why. That's the sea between Italy and Greece, right?
Mm-hmm.
And similar stuff.
Watching Porco Rosso and this like so closely together, I was just like, man, there's a lot of like aviation stuff going on, a lot of flipperoos. I was expecting to see a dope barrel roll or something in this.
You can't do barrel. No, you don't do that.
Yeah. Too real.
I love that he gets shot and he has to do like the time and the fuel usage.
That
was
so
I like that a lot. I like that a lot.
You can't really calculate it because the second you have to fly higher, you need more fuel to get up there, and it's like the faster you fly, like all that stuff eats fuel. So he's just like, oh, I think I have enough. I don't really know. Really, it was beautiful.
It's crazy that like he was like so early on. He was like, all right, well, I'm not flying back. I'll figure something else on, because he would have had to fly back when he
hit reserves, probably.
No, even before that.
Right? I remember when the gas gauge got shot. He was like, "Shouldn't you turn around?"
Yeah,
and he's like,
"No, it'll be fine.
Got a job to do."
Yeah,
because he has like 50 gallons of fuel still, and then there's that moment after the other guy gets shot down. He tells as he's going down, he's like, "Hey, your fuel reserve's at 15, by the way." Which by the way is the fucking coolest thing you pop. They're having a casual conversation as the other guy is getting ready to ditch into the ocean, and it's terrifying. But I like, by the way, he goes, and it's so fascinating because literally he's like, bail out, and the guy goes, okay, and opens up the canopy and then starts to get out, and you're like, nah. He's like, nah, you know what? The ocean looks calm. It's safer just to land the plane on the ocean. But like, think about that for a second. You get shot in a plane, and you go, cool. I got no choice. This thing's going down. So you open the canopy, take off your seatbelt, and just jump out of the fucking plane. Like that's crazy.
Is that what the thing was? Because like,
I don't think there was an eject process
this is my ignorance to planes and like time and stuff. But like, when were ejector seats a thing? Because that's how people nowadays get out,
World
right?
War II. But they're flying a lot higher too, so they have more time for their parachute to open up, right?
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, and that's what I think too. Part of that may have been he looked down and was just like, I don't have enough space to actually pop the chute without slamming into the water. I don't know. I mean, I think you'd have to get out, and I don't even know how those chutes used to work because they were just like the canopy chutes that didn't have any, like you didn't have any control over them. They didn't start putting like these things into the chutes until like after World War II. That's why so many people, when they got dropped in for D-Day, just fucking like wound up in trees and shit because you're like, well, I guess I'm just gonna be here. You ever watch Band of Brothers? That's like how that starts.
I thought you were gonna go Operation Dumbo Drop.
Oh, that was great too. Yeah, that was great too. But at that point, they had better chutes. But I guess when you're parachuting an elephant out of a plane, you have to figure some shit out. But those moments were just so casually terrifying to me watching this. And like,
it's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's just and Tom Hardy, shout out to him because he doesn't really ever his whole performance is like here. It's
let me just fucking say it. Shout out to Tom Hardy.
MVP.
I like have never given him real credit because I didn't know who he was until Dark Knight Rises, really. Like, I didn't really think of him as a individual watching Inception. When I first watched it, it was just like, oh, you're just an actor, whatever. But then, of course, we've talked about Bane for so long. We give him so much shit. And then he's Venom, and we give him so much shit. But then it's like, then you see him in all these roles. I'm like, you know what? I really fucking like Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy's
great. Man. He's a phenomenal. He's a really good actor, and he's a good character actor too. He picks fun roles that he just appears in. Like he played Capone, I think recently. I think there was another thing where he played the two brothers that were like these notorious twins. And then obviously the first time I remember seeing him was I was like, dude, he's so amazing in Inception as this like weird, charming character that pops in. And then recently, dude, him as Mad Max is just so fucking perfect. He's so good in that role. If you haven't seen Fury Road, or if you have, watch it again for Christ's sake. It's so good.
Andy wrote his thoughts in to us because he couldn't be here with us today. Dunkirk is eye candy. The score is relentless and the tension was constant. I love the idea and concept of the three planes of action eventually meeting up with each other. I just wish I cared about all three equally. Tom Hardy is the MVP. And yes, he totally is the MVP.
I think we can all agree on that.
I just feel like it was very, very hard to hear him talk. And it's like
let me tell you about a film called Dark Knight Rises and how much fun you're gonna have watching that again.
No, I feel like this was much harder than Dark Knight Rises. Like there were moments where like I don't normally use subtitles because I think that they're dumb and not essential most times. But I was wrong for this movie where it's like everyone wearing one of these guys is just and it's like it's just ADR, you know?
You think
I feel like he has such a commitment to capturing stuff in camera and capturing the performances there. And to be fair, when you're directing, you try your best to get the performances day of and not have to do ADR, because a lot of people don't like doing it. A lot of actors hate it because it kills the performance. But with Dark Knight specifically, like you guys remember seeing that footage of the original trailer before they did ADR, and everyone's like, what is he saying? We can't understand what he's saying in that first scene.
But they did
I
the
like
ADR,
that he didn't do it.
You know what I mean? They redid it.
They had to.
Yeah.
They had to, because it was so jumbled.
But I feel like for this movie, they chose not to. And it's like, to its detriment, where it's like, yeah, that was one of the coolest parts of this movie, like the aerial combat. But like much of it, I did not understand what they were saying.
When I watched it in theaters, I didn't have an issue with it. Watching it back here, I did have to turn it up a little bit and see what was going on. But in theaters, it was crystal clear, and you feel like you're in that cockpit with him. And I love just the sound that muffled like radio voice sound that they kept him with the entire time. I also love that he has no other dialogue other than that. He's just the airman.
That's how you hear him, yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting because I think it's very different than Dark Knight because of the type of movie it is, and it being such an experience type thing where like I feel like not understanding what he's saying is kind of part of the vibe. I use subtitles, so it didn't affect me because like I could see what he's saying. Didn't mean I wasn't still confused with what he's saying because I didn't know what he was talking about 90% of the time. But I think that I enjoyed the sound of it, even if it wasn't necessarily understanding the dialogue, because I don't think it's really about the dialogue. It is more about the.
Well, I think that there are some very crucial moments, like them deciding to keep going, and like him being like, "No, like I can make it. It's fine." Like I think it's just this, the gauge that like I had to. Well, like I just happen to have the subtitles on. Yeah.
Let's do a little haiku and review, guys.
7 syllables in the middle. We got 5 for the first and last line. If you're not poetic, no need to sweat it. I'll haiku. Haiku. Everybody, I almost got there, guys. I'm sorry.
Dude, you almost got there, and
I couldn't remember the last bit.
And it was a colossal failure at the end, but it was a funny one.
Hey man.
You can go to patreon.com/kindafunny to write your reviews in haiku form, just like Bryce Docherty did. On the beach they wait to cross the Strait of Dover, brave and scared, helpless. I appreciate you trying to get all poetic there. Zaid Wilson says, my anxiety sure does not like this movie. Epic ending, though. Cass Kolk says, Jesus Christ, Nolan, why is this movie so loud? Still killing it, though. It is a very, very loud movie.
He likes it.
Oh, Lord.
I thought the loudness made sense in this one, though. It was like explosions and gunshots that would come out of nowhere. That's, yeah.
Andrew Feisner says, flyers from the sky. Soldiers are just passing by. One need go Kiki.
That poor guy was just like,
I poop somewhere.
Just take a poop. I'm like, you got like at least a week you're on this beach. Just dig a hole. Let's go, buddy. And then just wipe the butt in the sand.
And then the last one from Brian Smith. Tick, tick goes the clock. Are they all fucked on that dock? Flyboy Tom on lock.
Flyboy Tom.
Nailing it there. Let's do a little ragu goo goo goo.
Dun 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 ragu. Dun 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 goo goo. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Rad Guys Talk Good Guys here for the Nolan universe. Right now, we are ranking all the protagonists in the Nolan movies. Number 1, we got All Right from Interstellar. Number 2 is Batman and Wolverine from The Prestige. Number 3 is Give Me One of Those Cobb Salads and an iced tea for lunch from Inception. Lenny from Memento is number 4. Hooah is number 5 from Insomnia. And the just sperm from The Following. He's just so young.
Oh my God, he's so young at this point.
You've gone too far. You have to reset.
Young man.
Seminal fluid from
a young thing.
God, thank God this is the last one for now.
It's just so young. Where do we want to? I don't even know
who
the
even rating.
main
That's
character.
The problem. Yeah,
let's put Harry Styles. We'll just say Harry.
What are you gonna do?
Let's say Watermelon Sugar is the main character. From
Watermelon Sugar goes dead last then, because Watermelon Sugar encompasses 5 different people, maybe more. They all look alike. I can't tell which British boy's talking to me.
Perfect. We'll just say Watermelon Sugar from Dunkirk.
Watermelon Sugar 7. Low.
There it is.
Low, so low.
All right.
Give me 1 sec, you guys.
I'll give you all the sex you want.
You're gonna have 2.
Fresh brother, enjoy your seconds of time to read.
Oh, Batman. No. Kevin,
in the chat, I'm seeing her child say, "Drats, mine didn't get read." So I went back to try to find it, and there's a be her here. So I'm assuming it's you. So I'm going to read yours. TikTok, Dunkirk clock. All the soldiers on the dock. Scarecrows got shell shock.
That's really good. That's really good.
It is. Yep, that's her. Him. Me.
Perfect.
I don't know.
Them. All of them.
Her child.
You know what I'm saying? Yes.
HERR her.
Exactly. Now it is time to rank the movies. Currently, the Nolan movie stand. Number 1, Interstellar. Number 2, Inception. Number 3, The Prestige. Number 4, Memento. Number 5, Following. Number 6, Insomnia.
Dead last.
Andy says he puts it number 4. So he puts it under Prestige, above Memento.
Interesting.
I would actually put it in the same place that Andy just put it. That's what makes the most sense. Because there are aspects of this movie that I did enjoy, and I wouldn't be opposed to watching it again.
I'm struggling between dead last or second to last.
My thing about it is this, Tim. I feel like we left Following's last, right? No. Or is it Hoo-Ha?
Memento.
Insomnia is last.
Insomnia
I like Following a lot.
Yeah, no, I like Following too. And that's the thing here is I for most of these, if not all, they're good movies, right? Where we're not gonna it isn't like when we're at the bottom of the fucking DCEU. There's a bunch of stinkers. Which turd do you want to eat now, Kevin? Open your mouth. It's a turd. I put this one dead last because I think there was more. I had more interesting post-movie watching conversations about Insomnia in every movie up the list from there on out. Where I left that movie like, oh man, I'm engaged, and that was thought-provoking, and I want to talk about this and that choice and that, but that. Whereas this one, I think, is just like, here's the stuff that happens. It was horrific, obviously, and we're done, and we're on to the next thing, and let's move on. You're in where we can't tell the characters apart, and this seems a little overacted, and this, that, and this is.
Yeah, I guess I'd put it as the second to last because I feel like both of these suffer from, for me, not feeling like Nolan movies, but this does feel more like a Nolan movie than Insomnia. Whereas if I were to look at all of them and be like,
that's fair.
Which of these movies did Nolan not direct? I would say Insomnia, where it's like this has enough elements, and this movie's well done. It's just not for me. Yeah. So it's like I'll put it there.
You know what? That's a fair assessment. You've changed my mind. I'll vote second to dead last as well too.
Yeah, I think I'm with you guys on this too. I think I'm with you guys on this. I think that Insomnia is just such an interesting, like, he kind of feels like a director for hire in that, whereas this one felt like it was a little bit more of a personal film and an iteration and evolution of an Interstellar and some of his other past works. And obviously the most straightforward and non-plot, driven movie that he's ever made, which is the only reason why I would rank it a little bit like lower down the list. I think it's a phenomenally well-made movie. I think it's phenomenally acted. Any small critiques we have of it are just that we're doing that for the show. But it doesn't smack of a Nolan film. To me, a Nolan film is something that really kind of comes at something from a unique angle, has some interesting sci-fi elements to it, makes you think, it has something to it more than just this, which was just experiential, and that's totally fine. It's not a knock against the movie itself. It just doesn't feel like if you're ranking those in the Nolan list, it should not be that high up on it, in my opinion. So I would say number 2 or second to last.
With that though, Nick, I'm challenging you. Following a Memento, because right now Kevin and Andy both have it under Prestige, above Memento, but you think that this is still even behind Following?
Well, the thing is, like, I think Following is like, it to me is like the quintessential beginning of the Nolan style. This one just breaks with that format. I think it's a way better like made film than pretty much almost all of these, except for maybe Interstellar and Inception, just because of the sheer volume of and scope of the movie. But I could go. Yeah, maybe I could put it above Following and below Memento. That's probably where I would put it.
Above Following.
Now thinking about it. So I put like third to last maybe. So Following, then Insomnia. So Insomnia, Following, then Dunkirk, and then Memento. Yeah, that's probably
no way. Memento's better than this. No, Memento was more interesting than this, Nick.
I think Memento's more.
That's what I said.
You guys have talked me out of it.
It goes right below Memento.
Yeah, below Memento is where I put it too.
Cool.
Above Following.
That's where it is. That's where it is, ladies and gentlemen. The current ranking of the Nolan universe: number 1, Interstellar; number 2, Inception; number 3, The Prestige; number 4, Memento; number 5, Dunkirk; number 6, Following; number 7, Insomnia. One day we will do Tenet whenever it is available to us in a safe way. But before that, we're still going to do the show on Tuesdays.
Whoop, whoop.
We are going to announce the following 2 in review series right now, with some early mock-ups. One of them, the intro's done. The other one, we just have a beautiful logo made by Cameron Kennedy, but they're working on some fun stuff. These are going to be the following Tuesdays as Studio Ghibli continues on Fridays. Let's check it out.
All right, no talking, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.